So let me peace self I build. Rome, I'm not sure what your email address is. What's your email address? Let me know. I don't. The peace true divine. Yeah, Rome. Let me know the email address. I have some emails that I haven't answered yet, but I don't know. I don't know which ones. You know, I'm not sure which one is yours. I don't see the Rome in there, so I'm going. All right. Yeah, I don't know which email is yours though. That's the thing. I don't. I could put it aside like I do, but I don't see it here. So even on my own time, I don't know if I would find it. You let me know which one it is. I don't know your email address. I don't see a Rome in here. That's why. Yeah. Sometimes if you it helps me if you just forward it back to me again and it ends up at the top of my pile. You know, because I know I have more builds to add on with self I build in the emails. So I've been working very hard and finishing this one book. Um, it'd probably be the last um, of its kind that I do. So like I haven't even looked at the emails where I could answer them and stuff. You know? Yeah. Today I don't have any students in here. It's a cold day. I guess the students didn't come, or they come later. You know. So if anybody has any questions, let me know. Let me know what they are. You know, so I can answer them. Okay. That's peace, God. I appreciate you, self I build. Yeah. You know, um, it's really good questions, though. Yeah. Yeah, it's tight for me now because I'm working on the reel of 2022, and it's a ridiculous amount of albums. You know, if you go to 5% connections, Charles Black Peace, on the IG, number 5% connection, those guys will link you up to different people. I actually have some emails of young brothers that want to get the knowledge, and I have to email them back to. Um, that's another email too, so I'm definitely behind. But there's a lot of gods out in mass, like famous ones too, like Estinak and you know Al Divino. There's a lot of 5%ers out in mass. Lynn, Massachusetts is, I know there's gods out there, um, but I don't know the towns like that. So I don't know what's convenient how they're doing stuff over there. So there's a really good network being developed by the god. Um, our 5% connection. So IG DM him and stuff. That'll really work because I don't know what particularly they're doing in particular areas of Massachusetts where they're doing classes like outright classes. If they're just teaching person to person only. Um, if they're which places got parliaments and things like that. So I don't know. I don't know. You know. That's right. That's right, Charles Black. DM them. You know what I'm saying? That's right. That's right, Rome. The great King Asiatic. You know what I'm saying? Laid roots down there, and he was great. He was great. You know. Um, yeah, I always remembered imperfection to him. He just was efficient, powerful. You know. Yeah, remembered imperfection. Um, King Asiatic. Yes. Hmm. Okay. Charles Black, you said knowledge God. That's today's math. Self I build, you said for me, the accumulation of facts, knowledge, in regards to who the original man, 7, is, has brought to light the immense responsibility and necessity to constructively, 8, let's build, conduct myself. Knowledge of self. Prior experiences operating contrary, based on prior experiences operating contrary, inevitably leads to self-destructive patterns of behavior. Yeah. Rome, you said build on Queen letter 17, also knowledge God, all being born to build and destroy. The Queen, that is really peace. Knowledge is God. You know what I'm saying? And she is able to build as well. Peace also. Okay. By the way, just as a note, I'm gonna be here next Thursday. So if anybody's in the New York City area and they're like, they ain't with that turkey shit just like I am, and they despise the devilishment, um, let me know. There is a Rome. There, I'll be here Thanksgiving. I always am. Um, Rome. Is there a difference between your Earth and your Queen? I think so. Earth is, if she's your queen and you're building with her, like she's righteous, you know what I mean? Um, for all intents and purposes, that's your Earth. But um, when I see the Earth as a title that they take themselves, they have to see themselves as the Earth, and it's not just about bearing life. It's about them seeing the knowledge of self and embracing that. You know what I'm saying? So that's that's how I see it. Also, with the hip hop question, how'd you like Nas album? I liked it a lot. You know, again, I'm doing this Real of 2022 book, so that came out this last week, and I'm going down. I have to finish this book, so I'm going down the line. It's gonna have over 400 album reviews, and it's gonna be at least 400 pages, and it's gonna be the last time I do this book like this. At the rate that music is going, of good, great, good, great, let's say classic, great to good music, because that's all I read about. Um, right now, its averages about 9 albums a week, and next year it'll most likely average 10 a week. I don't get enough money off these any book that I write to spend all that time on it, and there's just too many albums for me not to listen to, but to give a respectable thoughts on it. You know what I mean? So this will probably be the last one of its kind, but it'll detail everything. It'll pretty much them two books with the 3 years I covered. It'll launch people through the decade. Whatever comes after, most of the names that are in the future are in there. You know, so it'll keep you up to date. Anyway, Nas's album is very good. He always rhymes impeccable. Um, his timing, his pacing is exquisite. Like it's real mastered. I really like that the beats didn't try to do trap stuff on it. They're not great beats, but they're very capable. Nas, just Nas rhyming, no one else. I really like that. I really like that. You know what I mean? But also, I got to give it more listens because what people found to be great lines, I found to be good. But I didn't hear, for all the great thoughts and ideas he had in the album. And this is not, I'm being very critical. Um, I felt like he wasn't, it's not a dangerous, there's no dangerous thoughts. There's nothing seriously controversial and upfront about it. You know what I mean? Um, it doesn't mean that the album is not worthwhile. I just don't look to Nas to have those deeper, challenging ideas that I look for, like in a Spit Gems or Napoleon, the legend, or other MCs of today. Um, as far as like ideas that are challenging. So, but again, I have to listen again. It's a lot of lyrics. He deserves more than a few listens, and I only gave it. I'll say I gave it about one complete listen and almost another complete listen. So that's not enough. But I hear quickly. So, um, peace, Jarrell. Um, how would I define a king's disease? Well, I don't know. In Nas's albums, he defined it himself. You know what I'm saying? It's certainly the simplest thing to think about there would be the lust for power. The irrationality, um, and the abuse of power, right? Those would certainly be, in general, if we thought like what would be a king's disease, that would certainly be it. You know. Okay. Peace, Mr. Supreme. Peace, 793rd. I'm going a little slow right now because I only have you all in the class today. So I want to give everybody a chance to ask the questions that they want to ask. I'm probably going to go through some lessons today, though. Definitely want to go through the Supreme Math. That way people are strong with it. I'm going to go through my Supreme Mathematics build. Um, I'm going to be here till 9 o'clock. So basically another hour and 40 minutes. Um, So I'm here for any questions, any builds, but I'm gonna throw some things at you as we go along too. In a real classroom setting, what you want to do is always find out where the students are at, what they're doing. You know what I mean? If you don't have a question, then you should have a build, right? So that's everybody in here. Can knowledge God also be seen as a form of self-analysis? Self-I Build says. I think so. I think it's so. If we took it that way, knowledge, you're acknowledging yourself, your nature, and this would be even if you're born to build, you'd be analyzing the way that you build. So I can see it makes some sense. You know what I'm saying? Right? Yeah, yeah. But I definitely see it that way. I could see it that way. Absolutely. Absolutely. Mr. Supreme, knowledge of God is civilization at its highest. All right, expound on that. Some 85er hears that, he's just learning this. How would that be? How would that be the highest point of civilization? Right? That's a hard claim to make. We could make a claim that is necessary, but we don't really have a lot of proof that societies that had this knowledge flourished. You know what I'm saying? We just know that it's true. And then proving ancient societies that had it, we could go in there, we could say that they had it in their own way, based on what we have researched. The research is still very young in that respect. The analysis of things, analysis of ancient civilizations, especially our peoples from Kemet, Nubia, etc. The assumption is always scholars looking for the mystery gods, the mystery worship of a previous time. They never looked at it like with our angles. In other words, we would be asking as scholars, is it possible that in these societies they didn't deal with a mystery? Scholars look at stuff and that doesn't even come into play. It doesn't even come into play. So this is why it's so important to get our youth into some type of study, the study of archaeology, anthropology. There's so many questions to ask, but from our vantage point of the knowledge of self. That's why I say, how do we prove that a knowledge of God would be the peak of civilization? You know? Self-ability, you said, is that to discredit the accomplishments? Um, I don't think so. I don't think so. What I'm saying is that we know that the knowledge of God is that the original man is God. We know that as a fact, but we still don't have so much blatant proof that our ancient ancestors were dealing with it as overtly as us. We know that this truth existed, but we don't have the proofs of the daily life yet. We have the proofs given. We have the testimonies offered in 120. When you analyze 120, it had to be that there were original people dealing with this like in this fashion. But to say blatantly, as us looking back, we don't have it yet because we haven't been the ones to able to analyze all that. I don't disagree with you, Supreme, but your idea here is that because knowledge is the foundation of all life, and through that knowledge and wisdom is gained, right? So before you make the assumption here that um, that this knowledge of self, who a person is the most important factor in civilization. I don't know if that's so. I as a fact that we could prove with examples. Although I agree with you. You see what I'm saying? I agree with you. I'm trying to make a point here that we don't have those proofs yet. You know what I'm saying? We haven't been able to look at ancient civilizations through our vantage point, so we don't have that proof yet, and that's the difficulty. You know what I mean? Right? And that's important. Um, you said God is the highest form of our existence. I disagree with that. I disagree with that, Mr. Supreme. That wording there. Um, the black man has always been God, right? So the knowledge of self means that he's aware of himself, and that would be the highest form of his highest reality is to be aware of himself. But he always was God because everything continues to be, even when he doesn't have knowledge of self. Everything continues to, and it always. If we look at things not from the immediacy of our moments here, these immediacy, these 6,000 years plus, and we look at things from a grander view, then we have always been us, even as we have lost knowledge of self. So, and the proof being that we always get back to us as we are right now, here, that this all exists right now, right? Slowly but surely. So, I don't, what other existence were we at? You know what I'm saying? Um, we didn't do something to become God. We just became aware of ourselves. You know, the realities may change once we become aware of ourselves, but that's not, you know what I mean? Those stages in the knowledge degree in the 1 to 10, they're not stages though, they're roles. Okay? They're not stages though. So it's not maker, owner, cream of the plant, father of civilization. Then it's not stages. Okay, they all are encompassive. So they're roles and realities. You know, you could say he's the father of civilization, but that is always what he will. He will always be that. Every time he lives, he will always be the father of civilization, right? So it isn't just it is a role, but also a reality. So they're not stages because you don't graduate from them. You know what I mean? And one is not achieved so that the next one could be achieved. They all are done. They all are a part of the reality. You know, so I wouldn't look at them as stages though. There's somebody going through a degree. I have to be a maker, then I have to be an owner, then they have to be cream of the planet Earth. No, they're not stages in that sense, you know. And when we start to study the ancient spiritualities of original peoples throughout, if you use a word like stages, it could get confused with a lot of Sufic orders and the way that they dealt with the concept, you know. So we're not religious, you know what I'm saying? But understand that when we study ancient civilizations and their cultures and their spiritualities, um, you have to understand that particular wording can also confuse. You know what I'm saying? Um, and we don't want that either. Why would it confuse? Because these ancient cultures, like the Sufic, many Sufic orders, they came to the same realization that we did, that the original man is God, that man is God. I would say that we're the only ones to say that we are the true and living God. Um, it's far different. You know what I mean? They realize that man is God, but they weren't out there teaching that. It had to be something that a man develops to, you know. Well, look, I'm being very particular. We have to be particular in our words, right? Knowledge has changed over a period of time. Culture has changed over a period of time, you said, Mr. Spin, right? Be careful how you word things. Culture has changed over time. People do different things. Knowledge doesn't change. That would assume that things, certain things, it's the way that you would say that it would throw people off. That assumes that information that is true becomes different over time. What it is that knowledge, different knowledge is emphasized. And because we don't have that study from our vantage point and our lenses of saying that there is no mystery God, we don't know how much of an impact that truth of man being God impacts the way the entire society runs. Because we don't know, from everything that we know now, we're the ones teaching to the populace. There is no historical proof of any original people teaching to the populace. I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I'm saying that we don't have that proof. So a lot of these Nubia, Kemet, all of this stuff, it is very possible that if they were realizing that man is God, and when you look at things, you know, when you look at their architecture, when you look at all of the things that they were doing, certainly. But everything that we learn is that a select priest class knew this information more than others. So they still were hierarchical. They still were hierarchical, you know, with very few on the top knowing in that pyramid. You know what I'm saying? And so we could argue that the knowledge, you know what I'm saying, that the knowledge wasn't something that they were seeing. You know what I mean? That the average like the way we define it, did the average populace become a civilization that knew that? You know what I'm saying? And we would have to make adjustments because the average person wasn't learning that they were the true and living. They were learning that they were attached to godliness, maybe because of the priest class, but the priest class was the ones that were knowing it deeper, you know? So in these anthropological studies, not just the lenses to be different, but then now to look at them and say, what did the people know? If the priest class that led the people knew this, right, that's one part of it. Then what did the people know? Because now the society, civilization is made by the people, no matter how much of a ruling class is supreme, right, and righteous, because it's possible to have a righteous ruling class, right? We still don't know, like, what would the we would argue, right? And I'm sure Mr. Supreme, you would see it this way, that to make the claim, was the actual general populace dealing with the knowledge of self in the way that we see it, that we're talking, black man's God, the original man's God, the original earth. There is no mystery God. There's no mysterious being, energy, or force that controls us, right? It is reversed around. All of the forces are caused by us, right? And we don't know that for sure. And it certainly could be that way for sure, depending on where time periods you go back, how far we go back. But we don't have that information now. And as I mention that because just because we have the degree don't mean that the degrees 120 doesn't mean that we have all of that information yet. You know, we haven't even studied on that level. You know what I'm saying? We haven't even studied on that level. You know? Right? Self-I build, you said understood. I mean, scholars looking for a mystery versus giving credit to those who were in the physical form, aka original people at that time. Yeah, that's true. Self-I build. They don't even give credit for the actual people, let alone the way they're going to analyze the spiritual beliefs. You know what I'm saying? It's always going to be looking for a mystery of these people, and that's not something that they just do to us. They do it to themselves too. They don't have that. They don't have that lens. They don't have that lens to go there that way. They don't. True Divine, you said, if I am not mistaken, Muhammad was always talking about the coming of Allah. Oh, he's a prophet. Yeah, so he was, right? All right, where am I? I lost my place here. Mr. Supreme said, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, I answered that. David Gray, peace. Having not seen this name here before. Dave, I'm assuming you talk about the knowledge degree in the 1 to 10. That degree tell you who you are, your nature, and your responsibility. That's a fair description. Absolutely. Again, peace to the God, true divine. Mrs. Supreme, you ask, knowledge matures. I guess it would get layered depending on how deeply people get into it. Like, if we want to use that word matures, we could say that with us, this knowledge of self is matured because we're actually bringing it to the populace, we bring it to the youth, and in all recorded history, I'd like people to find it. We don't have a people with a set curriculum, a set ideas, teaching the average person, particularly the youth, that they're the true and living God. This is new. This is brand new. You know, this is why the Father, right? God has always been here. The born degree in the 1 to 10 tells us this. Absolutely, right. But in the making of civilization, was the general populace informed of this? You know, and in what recorded history we have now, from the best Black scholars, it's really a priest class that had the highest information. Now, unfortunately, though, those scholars, even the Black scholars, dealt with a mystery God, so they didn't really analyze saying, is it possible that in Kemet they didn't deal with a mystery God? They would have never asked this question. So the question could never be answered, you know? Not yet. Right? Mystery schools, self-I-built says, right? Christian, Gnosticism, Islam, Sufism, Judaism, Kabbalah, all example societies teach specific people, but not the entire populace, right? Yeah, that's exactly what I mean, self-I-built, you know what I'm saying? And in some of them, when you said Islam, Sufism, the Sufism was something that was outlawed, you know, and not really dealt with, you know, and I'm sure with the others as well. Right? But it's very interesting ideas here, you know. But again, it's important to pick apart our language because we want to be clear what we're saying, but we also want to be clear with how we're teaching. To me, in my research of the Greeks, Mr. Supreme, they weren't controlling the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? They weren't really controlling the knowledge. They were using the knowledge. It's really later with the Romans and stuff. You know what I mean? In the beginnings of the Greeks, they were dealing with it in some kind of sincerity as students. I would say when we get to Aristotle's time, then we have successful devilishment, you know, because Aristotle definitely, he was in Alexander the Great's ear. And that's where you get some Hall of Fame devilishment there, you know. King Kamal, peace to God, peace to the God. Yeah, I've had this for a minute, though. You know what I'm saying? This is one of my favorite sweaters. You know, a lot of times I try to get polo that has different colors. Red, white, and blue is big with polo. You know, and this is like it's not quite burgundy. It's a little bit more brighter than the burgundy. You know what I mean? But that's a rare color. They don't use these colors all the time. You know, unfortunately. Also, the class is I'm only here till 9:00. No, but you said what negative aspects in our culture as original people was portrayed. Everything that we taught the devil, everything that they excel at is what we've been excelling at too. You know, telling lies, stealing, you know, how to master each other in the wrong way, really how to conquer, you know. But I think that some of the things, the foils, since we were talking about ancients, is the same as ancient civilization, as many of the ancient Buddhist sects talk about. Maya, illusion. And what keeps us Maya in illusion is this inability to concentrate. You know what's funny? When you study Buddhist texts, and they're not even martial texts, they could be martial texts and they come out like that. But in Buddhist texts, the main issue is a person's concentration and focus. And we lose concentration and focus so much. You know what I mean? How do we focus? You know? How do we focus doing things that we don't want to do? You know? How do we adapt? You know? Right? You know, so but there's a lot of negative aspects in our culture that we destroy. I don't always look at it like that, you know, and I would also, there's a lot of things to destroy and let go of. But as we're teachers, you want to look at what people have that could allow them to let go of those things. What do they truly have to allow them to let go of those things? You know, that's what I would look at first. You know, what are the exceptional traits of a people that are oppressed? What do they still have exceptional? You know, what morality do they still have and compose themselves with? You know, how can we take those great morals and ethos that they still have that might be inspired by a mystery God, might be thoughts of a mystery God, belief in higher powers that don't exist, um, and even in dealt with, enforced, dealt with, embraced because of fear of the law. You know what I mean? We have to look at these things. You know what I mean? Everything that we see that's devilishment, though, is just people not respecting life. And they don't respect life, though, because their deaths are really what gives them notoriety. You know? No? Come on, you said, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Different schools of thoughts from the past teaching that we are gods in a roundabout way, while at the same time speaking of God as a higher power outside itself. Well, I've studied a lot of ancient texts. Come on, that's like something I love to do, God. Right? And see, the thing, King, is that one of the things that when you look at the ancient texts, Taoist, Buddhist, Zen, Chan, Mahayana, whatever it is, when you look Sufic literature, there is always the possibility, and I've seen this many times, the possibility of error on the translation, incorrect emphasis on the translation. You know, so depending on how you see it, though, you don't get those translations because it's out of the scope of people translating that would be said that way. You know, so I always look at that as a factor as well. You know. All the gods out in the computer room just singing the soul songs, taking me back. Um, Singing along to OJ's Brandy. Gotta love it, man. Miss being at the school. Self-I Bill, you said that's peace. It reminds me of the observer effect I recently read on while researching biocentrism. It highlights how the mind attention is critical to our reality. Yeah, the observer effect. When we're talking about the observer effect, we're talking about quantum mechanics, and everything in quantum mechanics is based on that. You know, it's just that scientists don't really want to admit that. So, and they're also, so there's a lot of functional concepts that are created out of quantum mechanics. But anytime people try to theorize about what it means to humanity and who we are, that gets dismissed, you know, in the school systems, you know. So it becomes people like the scientist Lanza, who wrote the three biocentrism books, you know. I'm on the third one actually. There's real powerful reads. Also, he says it's challenging to imagine a time when original people won't worship a mystery god. Even before the transatlantic tragedy, we had a mystery god. Yes, also, you're right. However, there are many ancient texts that go against that. You know what I'm saying? And teach that. You know what I'm saying? Um, look up Robert Lanza. Look up Robert Lanza, Mr. Supreme. He wrote a book called Biocentrism, right? And he wrote 3 books based on it. So he wrote the first one and he 3 more. I could email you those, okay? So if you would like them, anybody would like them, I could email them. I'm not usually when I talk about books, I have them. Um, so basically, um, with um, with biocentrism, he basically is a biologist, and he's saying that his scientific argument and seeing it as a pattern that was realized in ancient spiritualities and analyzing the science, we are the cause of everything. And it is because we see everything that everything exists. And these books are very much in line with the knowledge of self as we teach it, you know. But also going back to what Osor said, peace, true self. Um, there are ancient societies that were teaching that man is God, you know. And if you study martial arts, especially Chinese kung fu, as I do, and then study the ancient texts, they did not see qigong as something that you're drawing the energy from the air. They saw it as like all energy is within you, and you're drawing it up. So there was a very strong manifestation of self, that was to be augmented by this, so it was definitely there, you know. All right. Again, any questions that you have, I really want to spend this time getting questions from everybody. Anybody's interested in coming to the school, if you're in the New York City area, be here Thursday. When I teach students that are here, I usually spend some time with them and then I get online, Next Thursday is Thanksgiving, so I'll be here. I'm always here. Um, and I'll tell you about past Thanksgivings and why I do why what I do on Thanksgiving, why I fast, and all these things. It's important. We deal with history. It's most important, one of the most important holidays that we need to be aware of our history. Self-I Bill, you said a quote from the opening chapter of book 1. Why do you insist the universe is not a conscious intelligence when it gives birth to conscious intelligence? Cicero, circa 444, right before Common Era. Yeah, that's such a jewel. We always look, everything that is born has the aspects, you know what I'm saying? Um, Mrs. Supreme, since 1995, I have fasted the entire Thursday. So um, a fast like that is going to run me 36 hours, the whole Thursday. Maybe it might start Wednesday, but definitely the whole Thursday. And a lot of times I'll break the fast at 12 o'clock the next day. You know, I don't always do a fast where I break it immediately the next morning because I like to let my body, I get some teas in my body that next morning. Um, I might still be able to detox a little bit more. So it's about 30, I go for 36, Yeah. So around 12 o'clock, you know what I mean? I don't, I'm not, it's not like when I was younger where I would like try to eat as much as I can the Wednesday night. I usually don't. So that fast is going to start Wednesday just because I stop eating very early. So one day it would probably, Wednesday would probably start around, could even, the fast could start around from 5 o'clock Wednesday, through Thursday. The main thing is I eat on Thursday. Um, and then finish on Friday, 10, 11, 12, with stuff like this that is more of a personal issue with me, I go to 12. That's peace, though. So I respect what you're saying there. When we deal with the non-self, 5% though, I don't teach lower aspects of self. I don't teach that. I don't teach that there's a lower self and a higher self. You know, right? Um, the reason I don't teach that is because I see it more as one of the Zen patriarchs of Buddhism said. He said that the mind is supreme and it only has veils of sin in front of it. And those veils just need to be removed. And I don't, when you remove a veil is not part of you. It's just something that is obstructing you. The original man is righteous, naturally righteous, and his purity is defined by his righteousness, not, not on the holiness, you know. But yeah, that's why we don't teach about higher and lower self. You know what I'm saying? That also leads to people being on some stuff. Oh, trust me, um, I'm the God, but I'm like a little God compared to the big God, which was Allah the Father. And that's not what Allah the Father taught. You know what I mean? That's not what He taught. He did not teach that. Self Bill, you say, oh man, the supermarkets must despise you for not overly spending and wasting food all these years. Um, that's definitely actions that will put you in the black sheep category for some. Yeah, right. It would, right? Yeah. Listen, I'm gonna be 47 this year, and I still had to explain to my family like I'm gonna come to the school. It doesn't matter if anybody's here. The only Thursday I ever missed and not came to the school was during COVID. You know, and the school was actually closed. You know what I mean? And people were not comfortable. If people are not comfortable coming into the classroom, then I would leave that alone, and that's why I did. I was fine coming to the classroom. But it's not about me. That's not the point. But I will be here. I have a key, so I'm not gonna get locked out, or it's not gonna be locked. But I have taught at the school when it was locked, and I would just stay outside waiting. You know, certain Thanksgivings would be like that, and the gods. I remember Wise Ramel. He was there. He came through one day, one Thursday Thanksgiving, and I couldn't get in. Nobody came, and I'm gonna stay outside here until 10 o'clock because I was teaching 7 to 10. And the God pulled me off the block. He was like, "No, no, no, you coming with me," Yeah, but that's what we do. That's what we do. King Kamal, you said, since Allah is the all in all, the supreme dominance of the universe, supreme being with good orderly direction, is it right to say the original man and woman are everything in human form or universe? I think it's absolutely fair to say. I think it's right. I think that's right. Exactly. You know, the original man is God, who is the supreme being. His proper name is Allah. Right? Self I Build, you asked, what's the first Thich Nhat Hanh book you recommend for someone new to his writing? Reading Art of Living now. This is my favorite book, but it's not a first one to read, but it's insightful. Um, I think what's insightful to readers that's very useful that he builds on very well. I can't remember any of the. I don't have my library with me, but and I don't want to look through my. It's hard to find books through just going into Google Books, like unless I write them all out. But there are many books that he's written that are short about mindfulness. You know what I mean? And those are good to start with. You're reading Art of Living. I haven't read that one, but that sounds good. Also, because we're original men, I think all black men, a good start with Thich Nhat Hanh is to read his book, Anger, How to Deal with Anger, because we're angry. A lot of us have this, most of us, and that includes myself. We have this knowledge also because we're angry at the devil. And, you know, so that's how we got knowledge, you know? We knew he was the devil. I get that. Also, everything you're saying is fine. You know, if you see it that way. I don't teach that when I'm talking about the black man is God, because there's a holiness that gets into that. And I don't like that concept of holiness where I've mastered myself, I'm the true and living God. And now all emotions are mastered. That's not how emotions come up. Emotions come up because new challenges arise and new feelings arise. You see? And so a lot of times you won't really master anything if you don't get down into those emotions and you don't know how those emotions will come. You know what I'm saying? All right. You won't, we could talk about that, but you won't be a fighter and a real fighter, like a fighter, if you don't understand fear and how that works. You know what I mean? And that you can't just really master it like that and just go, oh, look, it's gone. That's not how it works. You know, the emotions are real things. They're cautionary devices that the body has, that your mind has, that alerts to your body and mind. So from your body to your mind, you know, so like when we talk about lower aspects, it's like it also becomes an excuse. And I'm talking about this as a pedagogical aspect too, and teaching this knowledge of self that we're teaching here. The student, when they use that language, oh, I'm dealing with my lower self and stuff like that, they're always dealing with their lower self. They always get to stay there. And what you see is basically an acceptance that, well, I want to continue to deal with this and I still haven't exhausted myself with this. When I do, then I'll reach up to the higher aspects. So I don't find it to be a good pedagogical device, a framework, you know, when we deal with that, you know. Yeah, like Self I Build, he has that book. Anger is very good, especially you know, all of us get angry, serious, some serious shit. Mindfulness though, he has like a really short book about mindfulness and walking. You know, so like he's really great at doing that. You know, my favorite book is his commentary on the Heart Sutra. That's my favorite book of Thich Nhat Hanh. I read that one every year. Um, it's called The Heart of Understanding, but it's his commentaries on the Heart Sutra. You know, um, that's a little bit more advanced because the Heart Sutra has some concepts in there, but he is really good at explaining things very simple. So even someone that has only read a little bit about Buddhism, because people read about Buddhism, but they don't really read the ancient text of Buddhists, whether ancient, certainly not ancient, and definitely not modern. You know, Thich Nhat Hanh is great to get into that. You know. Jarrell, you said how to explain to a queen the contradictions of the goddess concept and the reason we don't teach that at a lot of school. Um, it's not that hard. I mean, this is something like I've always built with the earths. The queen I'm dealing with now, it was not too hard to explain this. It's not that the term goddess is wildly offensive. It's just it's not complete in detail. It's not a complete word. So the black woman is not a version of the black man. She's not a female version of the black man. So if you call her, if we're the God, supreme being, that's not quite. It literally translates to a female supreme being. The black woman is a supreme being. She's her own unique supreme being, not a female supreme being, not a female version of this supreme being, me. She's not a female version of me. You know what I mean? So obviously we don't use the word goddess because that also confuses what we're saying, that we initiate life and she fulfills it. She nurtures it and fulfills it. And we have a righteous order because we deal with mathematics, knowledge, then the wisdom, right? And the earth is the complete term for that. You know, it shows all of that nature in there. So when I deal with my queen, I tell that's what I say. We're dealing with the completeness of a term. That's why the earth is the term. And when we don't use goddess, we're not using goddess because that's not saying everything that needs to be said about this. You know what I'm saying? And certainly doesn't describe her relationship in relation to us, you know. But this is the thing, like if you have a black woman out there that you building with, and she says that, and she says that she's a goddess, she doesn't have knowledge of self, but she's becoming conscious. That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing because she's being conscious. She's seeing herself as needing to have a different language to represent her, you know. Just for us, it's not a complete term, you know. But I remember building with Fakim a lot, and he didn't have a problem with it. You know, he was like, "There's so many horrible words a woman is called, and we're gonna argue with her about this." And that's something I took to heart as well. You know, they could be calling themselves a lot worse. You know, I don't know if y'all saw Abbott Elementary though, but they had the strong black woman that was a parent, had her own business, but she called herself bitch, and she had it tatted on the chest. You know what I mean? You know, and then when she got her to cover it up when she's around the kids, she zips it up, and then the her clothing line says slut. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the way the 85 is today, like yo, there could be there's so many worse words that they're trying to use to empower themselves. That man, I'm not gonna argue too much, especially if she's not my earth. You know what I mean? And if she's not trying to get these teachings like the way we have it, I don't really find it a problem. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that concept of the earth, that's what it means. It shows the relationship between her and us. You know what I'm saying? Her and her black man. That's why the name is so powerful. You know what I mean? If she's not called the earth, then we don't understand what the family structure is. You know what I'm saying? Right? And that's even beyond making children. It has to do with the relationship of how you communicate and how you're creating a life together. You know? Okay. Yeah, mindfulness. Okay, what I mean is there's a difference between the 5% and the 85%. Let me tell you something. It depends. That is always a shifting answer. It's not one way or the other. Because a 5%er just knows that and is willing to teach, though, but it doesn't mean that they're enlightened either. It doesn't mean that they've mastered their emotions either. It just means that they are teaching a truth and they are working their way to live it out. You know, one thing I say, like, to teach the people better, try, and I'm not saying this to you or so only. We have to try not to make such big gaps between us and them. You know what I'm saying? When we do that, we push people away. You know, and we're really just people that know some shit that they don't. You know, we just know some shit that they don't. You know, it happens to be the most important thing, but you know, that's how it goes. Peace to the God, Malik. Malik, all right, you've been missed here. What's the science, God? See, you say 5% is righteous, 85 is savage. There's a difference, not a superiority complex or growth. Sure, absolutely. In its general nature, you know, in its general nature, you know. But the 85 is not marked by savagery. You know what I'm saying? They're marked by the inconsistency of their ways. You know. Jarrell, you said so. It's not about shutting that particular language down. Yeah, no, nah. It's still a positive term. You know what I'm saying? It's not. I don't agree with the term. And when we talk about the knowledge itself, I think it's incomplete. You know. But I don't get mad if other sisters had the term and stuff like that. You know, I don't get mad about that. Indeed, I like Abbott Elementary. I like all those shows. I've been enjoying the Wonder Years too. The the new one, you know, the new one with Don Cheadle doing the narration. Fun program. Sometimes I'm tired of seeing. I think all these programs they're good, but sometimes I haven't tried to watch Snowfall yet because I'm just tired of watching that kind of stuff. I was even watching. I watched Mayans MC, but this you know sometimes I get tired of just seeing the violent versions of the original man. You know what I'm saying? So, right. It's nice to see different type of shows. You know what I'm saying? It's different balance. You know. Jarrell, you said that's piece about what Fakim said. Yeah. I spent a lot of years with Fakim, man. He used to come to my class all the time. You know, all the time. And I would get, as always, I would give him his moments to build. You know, definitely remembered imperfection. You know, and you know he said things I disagreed with. You know what I'm saying? And I would disagree with him right in there, during the class. You know what I'm saying? Malik, you know, definitely need you to get well, God. You know what I mean? Definitely need you to get well. All right. Whew. Back is a little sore right here. It's a long week of training. That's right. What I'm always saying, the palette. You know what I'm saying? The diverse palette. You know, you know, it's why like it seems like I'm gonna tell you something, right? There's so much music out there, right? Like all this hip hop. There's so much television and film to watch and choose from. Even if you only have like one app, let's say you just have Netflix or You just have Hulu or HBO Max. Like, there's so much to choose from. But when you deal with algorithms, it's almost like we're letting them make our own ghetto of what we search for, you know? And you always have to try to be expanding and making the algorithm yourself, making, you know what I mean? And if you're not doing that, then you're not really developing. You know, you don't have to like everything else you look for as much as what you already found. But you know, you always have to try to do us as 5%ers though. We'll understand people more and better when you know we expand that palette, you know, expand that palette, you know. Oh yeah, definitely, God, definitely. If I could revisit the short bill we had about answer questions 1 to 40 with the understanding got from the degree. Yeah, this has to do with more not with any particular degree. We weren't talking about a particular degree, but this idea of that when you're building um, and you're building in a cipher about a degree, um, what do you quote? And if I'm with my elders, I'm gonna try to quote the degree, especially if I got it good. You know, if I got it and it's right there, I'm gonna quote the degree. Um, if if I'm with people that I don't, if I'm building with them and they don't know the degree, I'll quote the degree, then build and give my understanding. If they know the lessons and I'm trying to give an understanding that, you know, and we all know 120 and, you know, we're amongst God's like peers that, you know, I'm not going to quote, I'm going to quote the pieces, certain, certain words, certain phrases in there, you know what I'm saying? But if I'm teaching somebody for real, and I don't always quote a long degree for a student because I don't want them to be overloaded. That some degrees I could quote the whole thing, and I've had students lose their concentration because they know that that wasn't something that they were supposed to memorize anyway. They lose their concentration. So depending on the student and where they're at is how much I quote the degree. But I do it more instructional. I'll be like, a piece of this degree I'm gonna quote to make this point, to make this understanding, and make it known to them. But yeah, you don't always quote the whole degree. But if you're building and you with your elders, you better quote that shit. You know, better quote it. If you're building with me and I'm going through 1 to 40 with you, you gotta quote that shit. You know. So some degrees are 1 page long, yeah, like an 8th degree and a 1 to 40, yeah. So in certain builds, you wouldn't quote the whole thing, but definitely quote like some of the sentences and phrases that you're building on. You know what I'm saying? Right? That's what you want. That's what you would want to do. You know, you want to quote, uh, you know, certain the phrases that are relevant. You know, among the gods, nobody would build anything if they had to quote the whole degree every single time. You know, and amongst ourselves, if we know the degree, then we know. You know what I'm saying? Right? Yeah. All right. Oh yeah, our class was dwindling down, and I asked you how you saw 1 to 36. Not the 1 to 36, the 1 to 14. The 1 to 14. Excuse me. I'm getting colder here. It's getting colder here. Um, I'm gonna quickly build on this. Why I see the 1 to 14 as a military thing. Okay. Um, I don't know how many people are on the 1 to 14, so, but it shouldn't. It should be. We don't even need the. We don't really need the answers. We just need the questions. But the to me, the entire lost found Muslim lesson number one, the 1 to 14. I've always seen it. Let me see in my notes here. I think I had written it down here somewhere. No, I didn't write it in my notes here. I should have done. Should be in here. Should have been in there. Anyway, um, a lot of the history, in fact, all of the history that's given in the first degree, right? Why did the devil settle on the best part of the planet Earth? The second, no, not the second degree. Second degree is Musa. Third degree is Columbus. Fourth degree for sure. Why did we run Yaqub and his made devils? Why did we take Jerusalem from the devil? The fifth degree. Definitely the 10th degree. They're all military mandates, historical mandates of what was done. You know, we took the devil from here. When you look at history, you look at history of the movements of the enemy, and how the enemy was moving. How did they get their intelligence? That's the second degree in the 1 to 14. Musa teaching the devil how to, basically do what the fourth degree said: build homes. Build homes for himself. Come back to society and be able to embed themselves. Something that they couldn't do in the beginning, as the culture degree says, and they were kicked out, right? And this whole thing here, King Kamal, is like an example of building, but not quoting the whole degree. I want people to get an idea, an idea. In the art of war, they talk about what is cared for, what isn't. That's kind of like the third degree, Why did we let Aboriginal man Columbus discover the poor part of the planet Earth? You know what I mean? But here's the key, right? When you have military mandates. You know what I'm saying? What does the enemy do? Teaches how he teaches and keeps our people illiterate. That's a sixth degree. Seventh degree, right? How he mentally enslaves us, calling our people Africans, right? What did he do? You know what I'm saying? How did he separate us? What mentality? So a lot of this is military to me, but it's also mental. It's mental warfare. Um, we have the exposure of them, the build degree, right? The social equality. Why does the devil keep us apart from his social equality, right? But then we have decisions as a populace to do, or to enforce upon the populace, right? We force them to study 35 to 50 years, ninth degree, or we just chop the heads off, in the 10th degree. And then you see, look, the war ethos is all about declarations, right? Have you not heard that your word should be bound regardless to whom or what, right? The military training, FOI, the captain and lieutenant, those are pretty obvious, right? But also here too, one of the ones that people don't see it. What is the meaning of MGT and GC, Muslim Girl Training and General Civilization class? In that sense, um, part of the military mandate piece. part of the military mandate is how you see them. In other words, how you teach them how to deal at home and abroad. Why would you have to teach them how to deal with it at home and abroad? That's even almost a military language there. You know what I'm saying? As if they would have to know how to conduct themselves, even when man is not around, that leader of the household, right? So in this case, it's warfare. It's military in all aspects to me, and it's mental. It's very mental. But that's what warfare is. I mean, you read the Art of War. The largest chapter is literally called On Spies, and so the ones that I said as mental aren't dismissing those. It's emphasizing warfare in military is absolutely mental. You know. Let me see if I missed some stuff here in the question in the chat. All right. Excuse me. I hope that answers the question. Self-Fi Billy said, if you're in a room of silence, how would you be able to differentiate civilized from the uncivilized? Right. Just answering that question alone is how comfortable they would be in silence. What characteristic actions are you looking to observe in order to come to a conclusion? You know, sometimes you can't. You know what I'm saying? When we say that the devil was taught how to come back down, how to build homes for himself, a lot of that is because he can sit in that room in silence with you. He can hide himself. You know what I'm saying? So one would have to cause some kind of discord and see how they deal with it. You know what I mean? That's what we really see, you know, in the activity of it all. You know, unless we're able to see how comfortable someone is in silence, which is possible too. What characters are you looking for to observe in order to come to a conclusion? If I'm observing someone else, though, then that means I'm in the room. So I'm looking how they interact with things. You know what I'm saying? Right? Okay. Understood, Malik. Understood. You get that rest if you need it. You know what I'm saying? This is always going to be recorded. Yeah, it's overtly military from the 11th to the 14th. But when you go through military maneuvers, you're learning about the lay of the land, who has the land, right? Columbus, the poor part, the best part. He didn't care about the poor part. You're learning about how people took things over. We took over Jerusalem, right? You're learning about the trading posts, right? Because that's part of military warfare, right? The God degree. You're also learning about mentalities because military warfare has a lot to do with how the populace is led to believe things, you know. Fourth degree is probably, it may be the most important degree in the whole set. In that whole set. You know, definitely could be the most important degree in that whole set. Let me get a drink of water. Haven't drank water for a while. But that is definitely important, you know. I wonder why we have a heater here instead of one. All right. Let me know those questions. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be here for another half hour, okay? All right. I'll be here for another half hour. Okay. Stand up for a while. What do we have here? Okay. Seventh degree comes to mind when I think about the divisive ish from some of Tariq's peoples. Yeah, that's definitely FBA shit. Yeah. Self I build. You said you remember. I remember you stating your mentor from school taught you how to let a student come to his own conclusions, something to that effect, or help them lead along the path to find the answer. Can you elaborate, expound on that? Yeah, I could give you a very distinct example of myself. Um, when I was in college, I didn't have knowledge of self. I was getting there, and I was learning Puerto Rican history from my professor. He became my mentor, uh, Dr. David Traverso Galanza, PhD, had a PhD, has a PhD, 7 master's degrees, and I was like, I was learning from him, and I had this idea. I don't know what people are calling me on Facebook. Um, about writing about this at the time about writing about the religion of hip hop. You know what I mean? And I told him what I thought about it. Like there's a spirituality in there. There's some kind of, and I was taking one of his courses about world religions, and he, I had this idea that hip hop has a religious center to it. It has a spiritual aspect to it. Obviously, I was trying to get to this knowledge of self, and it was all over, you know. And eventually, as time went on, I wrote this piece. I still have that. I still have that paper somewhere, you know. And I was talking about the 5%. I was talking about that. I was, I don't know why this. Yo, anybody in the classroom, do not call me on Facebook. I don't answer those calls. But yeah, that was pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like we're teaching them that they're the true and living God. Like you can't force people to get this knowledge like that. That's not how they're gonna learn. You know what I mean? What you're gonna do is alienate them. You know what I'm saying? They're not really gonna learn it that way. You can't force people to learn things. You have to build with them in such a way where they really come to an understanding. And when you force it on them, it's only going to be powerful enough in the environment or where that would work, meaning the environments that you're around, the environments that are similar and familiar. Like in reality, it'll be good around the ghetto. You know what I'm saying? It could be good around the ghetto, but it's not going to be good anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? And that's a problem. I think it's a problem. In my time teaching, I've had to teach so many different people, so I'm not really teaching just people that I'm cool with, or I like this kid. I'm gonna have him roll with me. I teach people like that throughout the years, but that's not the only person. So when you come in the classroom, you're getting people that you don't know. You know what I'm saying? You get people that you don't know, and they have different ideas. They have different ways of doing things, different likes and dislikes, and they have nothing to do with you, and not really the people that you would even know on a daily basis. And so when you teach people, you're not always teaching people that are like you this knowledge of self. And that's where that type of teaching comes in, not forcing this person, letting them come to their own conclusions, though. Let them truly see it themselves, as opposed to saying, like, listen, I'm an authority on this, though, and this is really true. So if you bear witness to me, just follow me on this path. That's a bad way of doing that. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. You get people to follow you, but you don't get much else over time. Okay. I hope I expounded on that. You know what I'm saying? It felt like such a natural way of teaching when my mentor Traverso would do that. You know what I mean? He would always support me and to find my own ways to explore my abilities. You know what I'm saying? And what a teacher is looking to do is not teach you the things that they want you to know, but they're giving you forums to expose the things that are within you. You know, and this is why if you take notice, a lot of the ways of learning with me have very little to do with me making you learn something. They're more about me having you expand yourselves, the expanding your palette of what you read, see, listen to, right? Making you write in your journals about your own ideas, your own thoughts, your own understanding. These are the things that allow a student to expand their palette. And if they truly see that they're the true and living God, they truly see that there's a true and living earth, then that is going to come out more sincerely and more potently, you know? Because we don't have time for like people that are just seeing it a little bit or just following. We don't have time for that, you know? We have time for the few that really get this, not really for the many that don't. Jarrell, you said the righteous is most certainly civilized. However, as seen in the case of the culture degree of the 1 to 14, is it possible the civilized to also be wicked? I mean, technically, in many respects, though, it's the dissatisfaction, it's the lack of being satisfied with something, you know, and going into a different perspective, you know, going to a different way of looking at things. This is really, you know, separation. You know, these are the things that caused that wickedness. So it may not always be rooted in wickedness, but just a change of some sort. You know what I mean? Yeah, no proselytizing or coercion. You know what I mean? You know, I'm still thinking about that question. You know, but I think that the confusion and the chaos that we see today is not always caused by overt devilishment. You know, I don't think so. You know, confusion causes acts of devilishment, but it doesn't mean that a person is just wicked. Wickedness itself doesn't always cause devilishment. You know what I mean? And so there's a difference though. The 85 are really doing most of the damage to themselves, right? And it's just a few that are 10% wicked. So most of the damage is self-fulfilling. It has a start point. Like that first domino hit is from a wicked person, right? But a lot of the damage after isn't really from the wicked. You know what I'm saying? You know, a lot of the damage after is from the confused, the realities of confusion, right? That which is not peace. You know, that which is not peace. You know, and then it becomes something else. You know. Self-inflicted damage, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. When we're looking at ourselves as 5%ers, though, how would we interact with these people? People that are based on fluctuations. You know what I'm saying? Inconsistencies, inconsistencies that lead to the simple reaction, and the simple reaction is the worst reaction. It's usually the most chaotic reaction. You know, and that's the problem. Rakeem, Raz, peace. Do I have the Planet Asia Snow Goons album? Let me see. Not sure. There's a lot of. The last thing I got from Planet Asia was the album we did with Body Bag Ben. So I didn't know the Snow Goons ones came out yet. So I gotta go get that. I haven't heard it yet. You know, I'll tell you this though. I don't. He always does well, but Snow Goons, I'm not always sold on them. They make good beats, but never anything next level. You know, I've never heard anything that was absolute. Self I Bill, you said, I remember you stating Al Jamel stated in part that we must not look down upon the 85% because they have a duty. Okay. Firstborn Al Jamel, this firstborn Al Jamel, it wasn't him who told me that. It was Wise Jamel. Wise Jamel. Both of them remembered in perfection. Um, um, Wise Jamel, he used to be very adamant though about loving the people. And if you didn't love the people, then you were always gonna look down on them, and you're gonna be. That was like the big to him, and I agreed with him. That was the beginning of becoming a 10% of yourself. You know, there's very little difference between 5% and 10%. In the idea that we could have the same knowledge. Peace. You know, so there's very little difference in that. Right? No, that's peace. Yeah, that's peace. Al Jamel was great. Wise Jamel, I love Wise Jamel. Talk about him all the time. You know, he was dynamic. You know, always fighting to be better. He's one of those people that when they fell off, they did the wrong thing. He manned up to it. You know, he would tell you. You know, and the gods, they had a lot of problems, man. They didn't live good lives. Our elders, they lived tough lives. You know, my generation, and 5%ers after me, like, or people that got the knowledge of self and say they to God, they live in lives where they're much better. They use this knowledge for themselves. They build a family, but that wasn't what the elders had. They didn't have that chance. You know, it was hard to be the true and living God. It was hard to. They couldn't quite figure out either how to continually and effectively transmute that knowledge into effective means outside in the 85 world. Even though the father was teaching him that, you know, and for some of those elders, like he wasn't here long enough for them. You know, we always talk about the father and all he did, but they 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 could have used him longer, you know, definitely. You know, man, when you say that self I build sacrifice of immense proportions, this is why people say what I've done, but it's not the same, man. I could say stuff like no one's taught a class here longer than I have by a lot of years. I have it by almost a whole decade. That's how much longer I have it, you know? But I had those elders around me, you know what I'm saying? And it's like they're almost all gone, you know? Sacrifice of immense promotions, you know? That's putting it bluntly. There's no understatement there, you know? I love those elders, you know? Yeah, the Puerto Rican Caribbean. That's funny. Yeah, that's funny, God. Caribbean, you know. Yeah, man, you're not gonna. You know, and it's funny because we live in the age of like, load management, right? Load management and making sure players pitch only a certain amount. You're never gonna get a Cal Ripken again. They ain't gonna let nobody play every game all the time. I mean, there's some players that they play every game. You know what I mean? Like my man Francisco Lindor, but it's far and few between. You know, Thomas Correa, peace. Also, you said 10% is driven by self-interest at the expense of the whole. They're dominated by emotions and passions, which happens if one gets knowledge, but it's still dominated physical. See, there I have to disagree with you again, right? The 10%, when you say that they're driven by emotions, right? There's two things, right? I've talked about Wise Jamel, right? What's an emotion? Because Wise Jamel, if you knew him, he was driven by love of the children, and that was it. He was driven by nothing else but love. He was 100 a building machine that was based on love. You know? And when you look at the 10%, if these degrees are true, and we know them to be right and exact, we say the devil is weak and wicked. So he's born weak, and then he is prone to wickedness and just becomes that. So that means that his 10% ways are not necessarily based off emotion, but a very realistic truth that they have embraced, that they are not potent enough to continue to survive on their own. And so they develop a wickedness that becomes a life strategy. Look at capitalism. We attack, we could collect all of the assets of the world, the resources, and we collect them and we bind them and we rope them in, right? We rope them and bind them in. And then we value them. And we continue to rope them in and value them. And this continues to allow us to live. I'm telling you, from the devils that really know, this has nothing to do with emotion. This has to do with their real, actual, thought out mentality and acceptance that they need to do this. You know? That's what I said. Like, let's not be very careful how you generalize, you know? Be very careful how we generalize. That's what I said. 85 is not marked by savagery. They're marked by inconsistency. I was a vegan. So I didn't eat pork. I was a good man, working man. I learned to be a working man. I was young, right? I tried to make the right decisions with things. Good man. And yet I was at the school and I was at 85 too. Right? So 85 is not marked by that. If you generalize them, they're not marked by that. They're marked by inconsistency. That's P.E.A.C.E. I appreciate that. You know, I know that I'm fast and surely becoming people's elders, you know, the elder to many people. Discipline is symbolic to growth. I don't know if I'll use symbolic. Synonymous is probably the word you're looking for. Synonymous to growth, right? Yeah. All right. So we only about 10 more minutes, 10 plus minutes. Peace, God.
Everybody online now.
It's too cold for them to come in now, right?
It's all a stranger. It's all one guy, yeah. Steve. Say peace.
Peace to the God.
All right, Lord.
Peace, God.
Jesus.
Everything is peace, God. That's peace, God. That's peace. Appreciate you, God. God came through, got me a kombucha though. See, y'all. This is the drink. This is the drink.
Come here no more. The shit he bring on 9.
I got more time now, God.
How you been, huh?
That was just good money. Thank you, Lord.
Oh, that's great.
Love the book. Gee, that book was intense.
You got it. You got your copies.
All
and
3
stuff.
copies, God. You shouldn't
okay.
have, but thank you.
No, yeah,
Give
definitely.
one
Yeah.
away, and the other 2 I'm definitely keeping.
All right. Yeah. Yo,
I'm gonna sit in class.
yeah. I was pretty much ending at the born hour. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'll definitely end it with that. Let me show people the book, because I've been bringing it and I forget. To anybody doing the knowledge, like, it's okay to not have the book. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're still in my class if you don't have the book. And if I'm teaching you, that means I'm teaching you offline as well. You're not a student really of mine like that if I'm not teaching you offline. However, this book is essays that I collected over the years and really founded on 2 major essays I wrote when I was 27 when I wrote it.
Damn, bro.
I was 27, right? And when I wrote them, I was only teaching here for like 3 years. And I knew how I was going to go. And those major essays, Kite of Perfection, it was to God, Rob Bowen Wise Allah. Peace to the God. I used to write him letters. And he made this beautiful card for my daughter. Like, he just designed a card for her. And I thought it was so peace. Like, he never met my daughter. Like, he never met me. And he did that. And I was like, yo, what would I write to somebody that could be the ultimate letter? And that's what Kind of Perfection is.
Yeah.
And the ultimate letter. Like, yo, everything in that shit. You know what I mean? Like, the knowledge, how you would use it, the way I even build on, like, these concepts I have about the swords and shields. Everything in there. And the blackest pedagogy was me, and like at the time I was a young man and I'm working in a cubicle. I was like, and it's like, I'm cold now, right? So I just get up and I build and shit, but I'm cold right now. But you sitting in a cubicle with a skimpy fucking suit and you're freezing and you're like, why am I even here? You know what I'm saying? Like, why am I even here? And I was like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And that blackest pedagogy, that essay, it was telling everybody where I was in an artistic way. I was writing very creative on that one, and where I was gonna be. And I released it. I put this in the book now. I released this about 20 years later, almost 20 years later. What I wrote and how I said I would teach in that essay, I did. You know what I mean? I said, this is what I'm going to do.
That's right. The importance of a journal, God.
I wrote what I was going to do in that essay. And now, 20 years later, people will read it and be like, you did that. And it was like the mentality, like how we would teach, though. What would be the mentality, how we would teach? What Self I Build You was asking me about letting people build. You know what I'm saying? I taught the Godfrey. I taught the Godfrey. I didn't tell him who he was. I showed him the science and I said, you go see this, you do this. You give the student the forums to build. You don't tell the student what they are and run them off. You got to give them forums. You got to create ways manners that they could build. You know what I'm saying? It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, they got the PDF version too, God. That's one I have also.
Oh, that's peace, God. That's peace. The PDF version, I gave you that, right?
No, but
Oh, you got the Kindle version. The Kindle.
Yes,
Yeah. Oh, that's peace, God. I appreciate that. But King, you said, I guess I gotta go get to New York to build with you so I can solidify my studentship. If there's a delay, it was all because of it's all because of a woman. Yeah. Yo, nah. If you build with me offline and God, the way we build, man, we made music, everything. We're making music. We build. You definitely is a student, a great student, a great builder, a great brother, But anyway, as far as the book, I added other essays I thought were important. I wrote when I was doing the Peace Course columns during the pandemic. A lot of them became really creative. Mecca Mission pieces that I wrote, you know what I mean? Creative works that I wrote that had to deal strictly with the knowledge, and a few plus lessons like the power bat, because those are always important. And people that don't really know about this school, they could use a lot of the stuff in here as well, you know? There's some heavy joints I couldn't throw in there because nah, that's just too heavy. That ain't for it.
Yeah, I believe
You know
it.
what I mean? Like, hey, that's what that'd be something for you, you know, some but not.
Yo, got little part pieces I'll have to go back and reread like 4 times, and then we'll get something different.
Right. I wrote the shit, yeah. I write concentrated, guy.
Yeah.
Concentrated supremacy, you know what I'm saying?
All right.
Concentrated supremacy, you know what I'm saying? I'm not that orange juice. You had to get out the fucking can and shit and add water. You know what I mean? That's that, right? But yeah, man. Yeah, it's funny. I wrote this when I had my first daughter, and she was running around touching the computer, turning it off on me and shit, you know. And you know, saving the shit on those discs, those hard discs that would always, yeah, that would always mess up. You know what I mean? That shit was crazy. You know. But yeah, there's a lot of things to build. That's why I was telling people, like, I'm writing the reel of 2022 now, and that's gonna be the last one I write like that, because this year there's been at least 9 albums a week. I can't write anything else if I only do that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But no one else has done that. So for 3 years I did it, and nobody else could say they did that. And it shows you the whole universe that we're in. But there's a lot of other books. I got a kung fu book coming out next year. That's like the mentality of kung fu and the knowledge of self, and how we do creatively. We built about that. I built about, God knows about that in the title and everything. Shit, I even got some poetry books about love and shit like that. You know what I mean? I got everything. I got everything coming out with shit. You know what I mean? You know? But
pretty understanding, G.
Yeah. So, you know, and I got hip hop books about my history. I got a little, like, kind of a bio of my history doing shit in hip hop. That one is almost finished too. That has a lot of shit in, you know, concepts, you know. Book probably called The Dark Ages, you know, because a lot of the shit I went through in the Dark Ages, the 2000s and shit, to get out to this invisible renaissance, I call it, you know what I mean? So it's a lot of books, you know what I mean? I've always written that way, you know. I've always taken the jizz away. He's like influenced me so much, you know. He writes everything is so few words, so ill, the word choices. That always influenced me, man, the way Jizza wrote, you know. Definitely when I wrote these major essays. Because look, these 2 essays I talked about, they take up most of the book. You know? They take up 90 pages of the book. You know? So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Black pedagogy.
Yeah.
The blackest pedagogy.
Yeah, so kite of perfection, the blackest pedagogy, man. Like, I appreciate that. Come on, yeah. And you know, since I'm saying what I'm doing, me and the God King, come on, we got an album. We're gonna do an album together. You know? And I have a short EP I'm releasing too. I just got like 1 song to write, and then I record them. You know? That's some heavy shit, God, I got on that.
Yeah, no,
crazy shit. Crazy shit. Me and the God Infinite Mind got a song about kung fu and shit. Yeah.
This came out, though?
No, I haven't released it yet.
Right.
That's gonna be on the album. Like, yeah, the guy went nuts. You know what I mean? I gave him some shit. You know? Oh yeah, Don El Rey flow. Yeah, I might even write a piece called ML Ray. You know what I mean? Because Dark Kim started calling me ML Ray because the troll he looped something I said. He said I said I don't believe in the knowledge. Remember I always tell everybody I don't believe?
Right.
He looped that. Said, I don't believe in the knowledge. I don't believe in the knowledge. I don't believe. And I'm like, so what? Well, you loop my shit. Yeah. Shit. I was like, yo, but you know, if you're checking for stuff, the God King Come On has the album with Saladin and shit. You know what I mean? And Saladin, he's not whack on the mic. He's not whack. And come on, man, the flows you get. Come on, could rhyme his ass off though. That's the silk. He's the silk peddler. You know what I mean? On the mic, he's the silk peddler. You know what I mean? I'm coming talking in there like Elijah. He's the silk peddler. You know? Yo, everybody's building now because we're everywhere. You know what I'm saying? We're everywhere. You know. I would like to do it. You know, now that I got the better mic and the quality mic, I might do. I'd love to do an audio book of the poetry book, the Art and Art.
Yeah.
That one would be dope to do the audio book of that. Because I was using this mic to do a lot of these songs I did. You know? But I got a new mic now though, guys. And that shit is official. Because I recorded something for the God Substance 810.
Pleasure to do a music video, a video while you read the poem, no?
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah. Yeah, come on, you silk peddler though. The guy rhymes like he's in, you know, like smooth as silk. You know what I mean? You got the silk voice, you know? But yeah, I want one of the main things in this classroom is to find your talents. You know what I mean? I got the God Free here. He's a perfect example, though. You know what I'm saying? I told the God, find all your talents, and he just kept mining photography, artwork. You know, just looking, studying everything, being a student of all these things. That's what it is, God. That's what it is. You know, you found those talents. You know, and they're amazing. You know, the God Free that just came in. He's the one that took all these pictures, though. Look, he always make me look. Look at that. Be making me look like, damn, I feel like Raekwon and shit on the cover, you know?
Right, Lord, it's only right.
Feel like Ghost Dini, you know? Smoking Jacket Chronicles, yeah. Yo, so much, man. So much to build, man. You know, but part of being the God is to work on your creativity. That's why I tell you to write a journal. A lot of people see my work and like, yo, you could really write. You write poetry, write this, that. Yo, I have a lot of places where I wrote lousy shit. I just knew that I had to express myself somehow. You know what I mean? And if you really feel like you want to write and you're not writing well, there's a simple answer for that. And it's not just to write more. It's read more books. You know, read more books, you know? We have an advantage, though. Our generation listens to so much hip hop. We're listening to poets and writers of prose all the time, you know? Like if you ask me about the Nas album, you ask about Planet Asia, like these are poets. These are guys that are great, they write great prose. They write great poetry, you know? Yeah, man. Yeah, the God is crazy. The God is crazy. Free is real talented, you know?
Peace.
Yeah. And let me tell you something though. Like I'm really, when like people ask like I'm writing about music, like I really know these people and they all learning something. And you'll be surprised. Like I don't be saying who's my students and all that. I never do that. I do it when they if they're okay with that. But I don't be listing everybody because I don't remember everybody. I can't just name them off the head. But there's a lot of people in hip hop, and y'all buying their albums, and trust me, I'm either teaching them or they're learning with somebody else, but they definitely learning. And they may not be able to express it like that. They may not take down the flag and wear that flag, but they're dealing righteously like that. You know what I'm saying? And they're righteous. They're kicking righteousness in the music. You know what I mean? Some people get this knowledge, like, that they're influenced by it righteously, but they also don't embrace it and say that they're that. You know what I mean? They might even still deal with a mystery God. You know what I mean? But they change. I think a lot of times on Facebook and stuff and social media, people be like, "Oh, look, people say that there was this, that there was that." I don't be judging people, man. Some people need this, and they're not going to be the God. They're not going to be the God. They're not going to be the one to go out there and tell people that they God. And they be, and if you do it, a lot of people can't do that. Like you're talking in a conversation, and all of a sudden you see somebody, and then you're building and stuff. And say, "Yo, you know what? Come over here. You know that you're the true one that we got, man. Like, there's no mystery, man, brother. You be saying some shit. you know that you're the true and living God. Like, you know, there's a thought process and there's a real science to it, though, not just some. And they're like, what? But a lot of people don't have that. They don't have that nerve to go that next level. They don't have that nerve. You know what I mean? They might get embarrassed. They might not have the wherewithal to do it and shit.
Yeah, but that's your duty, bro.
Yeah. And but they're honest though. They tell you they're not a 5%. They tell you they're not the God. A lot of times because they can't do that. They could. Peace, God.
Peace, man. Peace, God.
That's right. Yeah.
You the man, you can't. Peace.
He's safe, indeed, God. But if you keep it simple, like to those 5%ers that you're trying to learn and you don't really know, and you get a little nervous, like I don't know if I should kick it now. Like teach people what you are really truly think that they could use. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate you, bro.
You know, like it's that simple. You're not teaching everybody that the black man is God. You're teaching people what they could use at every turn. Some people may not even know that you're the true and living God. You know? Yeah. Black, brown, yellow, white. That's it. You know? Red and half original. Those are still like, you could lump them in the original. You could lump them in whatever, you know? Like, firstborn Prince Tommy is black, brown, yellow, white. You know? Yeah, that's peace, man. That's peace. Yeah, leftovers. We got some shit. We got some shit out there. You know? We don't fuck around. You know? I forgot I even say that though. Part of a whole group, you know? Leftovers. NYC. But yeah, I want everybody to delve into that creativity. You know what I'm saying? Delve into it. If you're not, study creativity. Try your hand at different things. You know what I'm saying? Like you should be sitting there, right? You watching TV or Netflix and shit, and like you get into a binging mode. You should be like, nah, man, I need to be doing, like, need to be creating something. Like,
God is a creator.
Yo, God, like I watch TV and film. My brother's an actor. Like I watch a lot of TV and film. I watch when I'm eating, but when I finish the meal, I'm like, I start getting antsy. I'm like, right? Like damn, I finished. What am I to do? I'm just gonna sit here and watch this? Like, nah, man, I gotta do something. You know?
You listen to lectures while you do stuff.
Yeah,
you
like
watch the person speak.
I don't even do sports well. You know what I'm saying? I don't even do sports well. I haven't watched the whole basketball game this season yet. Not one. Yeah. Not like the Knicks are something to watch, but you know. But the Nets, no, you know, the Nets are a fucking joke, you know what I mean? Yeah, you know. Yeah, I mean, listen. There's a lot of brothers that kick righteousness though, and they really are sincere. You know what I'm saying? They really are sincere, you know. And they not in the nation. They don't have knowledge like that, but they are builders, you know. And they're all around, and they're all positively influenced, you know. All I know is that if I'm around, if you see me around MCs, best believe that they know some shit. You're not gonna be with me too long and not get something. I was with a certain MC and we was rolling together and shit. And he was like, you know, he was about to get some swine sandwich. And I was like, nah, we rolling together. You're not getting that shit with me.
Right.
You're not fucking with that shit with me. He's like, yo, but it tastes good. And you know, they give it to you in Christmas and I can't even, you know, and I'm like, nah, man, you're gonna fuck it up on Christmas, but it ain't gonna be with me.
It's not the presence of God.
Nah, not, yeah. And he not in the nation. I was like, nah, it don't matter though. You with me? You're not fucking with that with me, you know? Shit. we gotta have some. We gotta start somewhere. You know what I mean? We gotta start somewhere. You know? You gotta let your influence be known when you're in the ciphers. You know what I mean? Don't be rolling with niggas though and saying these are my homies and then they eating swine with you. Like, nah. You be like, yo, if you're powerful enough though, yo, you eat your swine when you sneak that shit in at night. You're with me.
Yeah.
You're an 85 nigga doing it right now. You're an 85 nigga being right with me. You know, like you're not doing that shit with me. Yeah. You know? But yeah, the shit always is gonna sell. It's always gonna have a root. You know, this knowledge. And look, when people lose, when people's records they get boring, they need topics and shit. They always gonna look to us. You know. That's peace, self I build. Thank you. You know, but man, if there's anybody that's new here, kept quiet, email me sunez97@gmail.com. Okay. If you email me like Rome, um, I think I remember your email. I thought I answered it though, but I'm gonna answer on this weekend. Like I said, I've been really working on this book hard so that way I can finish it. You know, um, but I'm gonna get to the emails when I can. You know what I'm saying? Oh, teas at night and day. Well, day you want to have stuff like moringa, guayusa. I love guayusa tea. Yerba mate. You know what I mean? The energy teas. You know what I'm saying? The energy joints. Um, green tea is great. Green tea actually gives you some energy too because it's diuretic, so it's going to energize you too. Um, I love jasmine green tea. Um,
Over the black teas, right, God?
I'm okay with black teas, but I definitely the ones I mentioned over black teas. I love them more than those. Chinese teas too. I love the oolong tea. Oolong tea. I love oolong tea. You know what I'm saying? Nighttime though, you want to switch to chamomile. That's the main number one guy. You know what I mean? Do chamomile. That's the one that you should stress at night. You know?
Can I ask you about the kombucha law? When are you supposed to drink that?
You could drink that anytime. Anytime.
After you eat or before you eat?
I'm drinking them at any hour of the day. God, they don't really have that effect of like giving you like There's no caffeine in them and stuff. But it's really black teas mixed with a fermented black tea that makes what they call a SCOBY. You know, it's an enzyme, and then that gets fermented with the black tea, and then they add actual juice. The reason I love this brand, the Synergy brand, I'm always talking about the Synergy brand, is because they don't add any sugars in them. You know, it's just fruit, and they're more potent. I've had a lot of kombuchas. People can't really tell the potency of them. They don't feel it though, but the potency is good because you got the probiotics, the prebiotics are in there, so they're good before and after a meal because they have pre and probiotics. Usually, prebiotics would be used for like before you eat, probiotics after. But because it has all of that, so you're good. You can have it anytime. Elderberry is good. Elderberry can be made into a tea, but elderberry juice and everything is good for you, real good for you. There's a real powerful berry. Those are the blackberries, the real dark berries. So they got the antioxidants and the ORAC level is high on those, you know. So those are real potent. You know what I mean? Doppelgangers, they're not bad. They're good. You know what I mean? I haven't mined and studied their catalog, but I know of them. They're dope. It's all Peace Malik. All Peace Malik. You know? But definitely for the nighttime tea, you want to do peppermint tea. Peppermint tea is good after you eat, though. You know, it helps the digestion. You know what I mean? Chamomile is that sleepy tea, you know, that night tea. Definitely mess with that at night. You know? That's really what you want to do. You know? And green teas throughout the day. Green tea is good for any time, really. It's okay for any time. I prefer jasmine green tea. I love the jasmine infused green tea, you know. But Anybody that was watching that didn't really participate, that's just doing the knowledge, email me for anything. I could give you more details, more specific questions. A lot of people have emailed me. If you emailed me a while ago, like last week or week before, forward it to me again, so it's at the top of my list. Tomorrow it's all writing day. You know what I'm saying? So when I take breaks and get tired of all this music I'm writing about, put some soul music and answer these emails and shit. You know, hibiscus is good at night too. Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. Yeah, hibiscus is good too, especially if you like a floral tea. You know, brands. You know what's a good brand? What's the name of that brand? They're in all the shit. I forget the name. There's a brand, Celestial Seasonings.
Oh, okay.
And I mentioned that one because they got them in in regular supermarkets and everything. You can find those. Health food store brands are always going to be good. Other teas like yerba mate and stuff. You want the guayuca? They got other
That stuff is good.
Yeah, but guayusa tea, you got to order that online. You know, people don't know about that tea yet, so it hasn't really blown up. Yeah, and moringa tea is a tea I'm gonna mess with too because that gives you energy and it doesn't have the caffeine. I haven't tried it myself though, but I read about it. I heard about it. Some of you students have suggested it too, so that's the next on my list. You know, and their sleepy time brand is like chamomile mixed with other things and vanilla and shit. Tastes nice. They Celestial makes a lot of nice combinations. You know what I'm saying? They make a lot of nice combinations, so it's nice to mess with them. You know. And you know, when you drink tea, try to acclimate yourself to using no sweeteners. As you go along, it's going to taste bitter to you, and that's probably because you're boiling the water too hot. Not most teas don't need the water boiled that hot. You know what I mean? Like I drink guayusa tea with the water boiled, but other teas ain't like that. And if you see the way they traditionally make yerba mate, they have it like at a set temperature, and the way they pour it, I don't even do it like that.
Yeah, I
you know,
taste it like the Argentinians.
But the way they do it, right? They do it special. They do it a different way. Yeah, they have like the special cup and everything. Yeah, they do their own shit with that. But like green tea should not be boiled. You don't put green tea in boiling water. It'll get bitter. You know what I mean?
Makes sense.
It gets bitter too quick. And so that's the thing. Like people are like, oh, if I don't boil it, then the shit gets cold and shit like that, man. Pay attention to your tea, man. Drink it when you have it. Like if you have those automatic boilers, like I have one, you could put different temperatures on them. And that shit, I'll use the different temperatures. Yeah, so they got those now. So like you could do the temperatures. But what you do is like you just get the water out before it boils, you know. You'll hear it, and then you just don't wait for if you're using a tea kettle, don't let it whistle. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of teas, people don't like tea a lot because they don't know how to brew it, and it gets bitter.
You gotta leave it 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, or if they're using just the leaves, they put too much leaves in there. They make it too strong and shit, and it tastes bad, or it's too potent. You know what I'm saying? You got the yerba mate, and they put like mad amount. Like they try to do it like, don't do it. If you don't know how to do it like the Argentinians do, don't do it because they use a lot.
Yeah.
They use a lot.
You got it's an acquired taste.
Yeah. That shit is strong like that. I don't know how they do that shit. That's why Che Guevara was killing everybody. Like he was hopped up on that shit.
I brought a bunch of lemongrass back from Ecuador. Bunch, Lord.
Lemongrass is nice tea. That's a good tea for night too. Lemongrass, because it soothes the stomach. Any of the teas that soothe the stomach, lemongrass, peppermint, those are good for nighttime. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I forgot about lemongrass though. Lemongrass, you can get them in the leaves too. You know, but I love the loose leaf. If I can, I always get the teas loose leaf. You know. But with the chamomiles and shit like that, I get them, you know, the other way too. But yeah. All right, so I'm gonna sign off and shit. I got to get back to Savior's Island and everything, you know. But email me, contact me, you know what I mean? And keep building, you know. Keep building. Everybody's gonna be great. if you build. Peace.